Hi everyone, welcome back to 30 Going on 13. In today's episode, we will be talking about friendship breakups with your best friends from childhood, breakups with friends you meet in your adulthood. I think it's very common to talk about breakups like with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, like a significant other. But I don't really hear people talk about breakups with friends too much. I don't even think I have on social media at all. So I wanted to make an episode about breakups with your friends. I recently went through a breakup with one of my friends, so I wanted to come on here and share my experience with the hopes that if you are currently going through a friendship breakup or just recently went through one, that you will now feel less alone because it happens. And I've had so many of these conversations recently. This is a real thing that happens if you're a teenager, if you're in your 20s and you haven't experienced this yet. It's most likely to happen one day in your life that you have to break up with a friend. So I'm going to share my experience with you and tell you my thoughts on it. So here we go. This is episode 67, baby. Let's get it. This is 30 going on 13. So I'm in my 30s, but I feel like I'm just now learning things that I wish I would have learned when I was 13. Turns out I have a lot of learning and healing to do. And this is where I'm going to do it. So let's go. It's time to grow. The reason that I wanted to do this episode today is because I have recently went through a breakup with one of my best friends. I met this best friend in my 30s and we got very close very quickly. And I automatically put her as a best friend in my life because that's how it felt. And the relationship was very meaningful to me. We had a lot in common and I thought, you know, this person really seems like a best friend. So I called her my best friend and we were for about 2 years, maybe a little less than that. So like some relationships, that friendship has come to an end, unfortunately. And it was really difficult for me to experience that breakup with my girlfriend, with my best friend at the time. And I just felt all the feelings that I felt in the past for breakups with boyfriends. So I've been thinking recently, why are friendship breakups not spoken about? I feel like this is a very important and very real topic. So here we are. I'm going to share my experience and dive into that breakup a little bit more with you. So when I met this girl, I was, I think, 31. I think I had just turned 31 or I was about to turn 31. At that time when I met her, I was newly single and so was she. And I had come from a very toxic previous relationship. We were both, like I said, newly single. So we were both really itching to go out and meet new men and socialize and make new friends. We were both just in this exact same phase of our life at that time that we had met. So we connected on all of those things. On top of that, we both had just started going to this gym and I think she started like a month before me. It was very easy to make friends there. And so I met her there and we were both kind of new there. So we also had that in common. So we're both newly out of these relationships. We're both newly single and we're both new members and fresh meat at this new gym that we are very excited about. So those are the things that kind of started our friendship. At the time, those were really important things to me and to her because we had been going through a really difficult time before we met each other, like right before we met each other. And right when we did meet each other, everything started to get better. Life started getting better. We started feeling happier. So everything that we had changed our lives to be at the same time was helping us to have better lives, happier lives. And so we were kind of doing that together, creating this new life, this new single life, this new free life together. And in the midst of that, we were getting to know each other. We were hanging out after the gym. We had a lot of conversations on the phone, FaceTime, texting, coffee shops, and we were just really getting to know each other a lot. And like I said, we had a lot in common in terms of where we came from, especially our previous relationships. And when I say we had a lot in common in terms of where we came from, I really mean just our relationship history. So we got to know each other pretty quickly. We bonded over those things. Then pretty soon into our friendship, we decided after, partying and going out and being single, we decided it was best for us to become sober. So we both became sober around the same time. And that was another thing that bonded us and kept us connected, was that we both no longer drink. So we're just going to the gym a lot. We're running, we're, doing these healthy things. She's having her morning routines where she journals and does yoga. And at the time, now living a sober life, we were good influences on each other. She also is debt-free. And at the time, I had been recently starting my debt payoff plan. So she was a good influence on me in terms of that. So we were both good influences on each other in terms of not drinking alcohol and not spending money carelessly. So those things aligned. And at the center of our friendship always was the gym and fitness and working out. So time went on and our relationship grew. We became closer and closer, kept getting to know each other, and learning things about each other's lives. And throughout the learning about each other's lives, I think for me personally, I started to see differences within us, especially her relationship with the gym versus my relationship with the gym towards the end of our friendship. It changed. When I started at the first gym that we met, I was crazy about my workout routine. I was going every single day, and so was she, and we were very much aligned on that. But throughout our relationship, my relationship with the gym changed, and it wasn't my first priority anymore. My debt payoff was working a lot, and my podcast and, other things became priority over the gym. But for her, working out and the gym was always her first priority. So we started seeing differences in our friendship based on our relationships with the gym and fitness, if that makes sense. And that's kind of where we started butting heads a little bit or disagreeing on certain things. I just really started to see how different we were. And then also when we talked about our upbringing and where we came from and our values and our morals and things like that, I also started to realize that we were different. The way that we just are as people are just very different. And so these were things that I started to learn and see as the friendship went on. And it's hard to really see these things in the beginning of a friendship. You can't see everything. You don't know a person fully when you first meet them. So I personally think in the moment, calling her my best friend felt right. And it felt exactly like she was my best friend. And I think that was reciprocated. She felt the same way. It was just such an intense bond that we had very, very quickly because of those things that I mentioned that we had bonded over. And so I do think that was the appropriate title at the time. But then as our relationship went on, and as time went on, and as we started changing, and as I started changing into really me, I guess I started changing into this new version of myself, I really just started reflecting and noticing the differences that we had. And so all of this to say, I think it's pretty normal to bond with someone pretty quickly and have this very intense relationship. But then as you learn about them, you can learn and see different sides of them and learn more things about them and realize more of your differences. You can't see that in the beginning. So this is me just sharing the fact that, like I said, I do think that calling her my best friend in the beginning felt right. And I don't change the way I feel about that. But now the way that I think about friendships developing, I think they take more time before someone can be called my best friend. Because I need to, now going through that relationship, I feel like I now need to know them on a not deeper level, but I think I just need to experience life more with that person before I can give them that title of best friend. Because, in the beginning of her and I's relationship, all we were experiencing together was the gym. We were going to the gym, we were hanging out at the gym and sometimes outside of the gym, but that was it. But when you don't really experience life with somebody, you can't really see them in these different environments or different situations or different elements because you haven't experienced them yet. So, 2 years with her as my best friend, okay, now I can see who she really is and how do we really vibe or do we not? So now I think that when I meet new people and when I have new friends, I have this newfound awareness of okay, they don't have to just jump up to be my best friend because I really like them and I bond with them over certain things and I enjoy their company. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to rise to be my best friend. maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I really value experiences with people, and I really value seeing people in different situations to just really get a good full picture of who they are as a person. So once we experienced more of life together, we started seeing a lot of our differences. Just the way that we thought was very different over a lot of things. Our relationships with our families were very different. Our family values were very different. So there was just more and more coming to light of how much is actually different about us versus similar. And I think in the beginning, we bonded over those things and that kept us strong. But then as we healed ourselves, especially as I healed myself from my previous relationship and found myself in a new healthy relationship with Mark, I feel like our relationship just shifted, or I didn't have the same needs as I did when I had first met her. So things just changed, and a couple of things were done and said that hurt my feelings. And I just felt like if this person was really my best friend, they would have never said this to me. They would have never done this to me. And so during the end of our relationship, when I started getting my feelings hurt by her, never once was I like, she's doing this to intentionally hurt me. It was just signs of who she really was. And so I was getting hurt, but I wasn't getting hurt that I didn't think she loved me. I was getting hurt by finding out who she really was and that she wasn't who I thought she was. And that's what the painful part was. But I was always very understanding of like where she was coming from and why she was saying or doing these things. Like I always knew where her brain was at. So I knew nothing she said or did was malicious, but it was still hurtful to me. And like, I'm always thinking, and I have this tattooed on my back, do to others as you would have them do to you. And so the things that she was starting to say and do towards the end of our relationship, where our differences really came to light, I would have never done to her. So I was like, oh, okay. So this is how like you move. This is how you are in relationships and friendships, but that's not how I am in relationships and friendships. So I think this is where it ends. I think this is where I can really accept and take, ownership of the fact that we are very different, and that is okay. So because I was realizing how different we really were, I was more and more open to letting her go, because I don't think that you can change people super drastically. Like people, yes, people can change, people can grow if they're willing and if they want to work on themselves. But these were like very big things that kept coming to light for me that I was like, I don't think she's going to change this, because this is just who she is at, 33 or 34 years old. Like I didn't expect her to change for me, because who am I? Like we had just became friends like a year and a half, 2 years prior. And so I wasn't expecting that from her. I wasn't expecting these huge changes in who she was as a person just to fulfill our friendship. So I was just, watching, observing, and accepting the fact that we are just not compatible as best friends or friends anymore. And that's why our relationship ended. And it was really sad, and it was really hard to accept. And obviously I felt grief and I felt a huge loss, because she was a big part of my life. But I do have to say that there was a positive ending to that, because after I ended that friendship with her, a whole new slew of friends came my way. I feel like when I was investing myself in her, I was pouring every single ounce of myself into her and only her in the friends category. So she was getting all of me, all of my energy, all of my time, all of my love was going to her. So once our friendship ended, I felt this weight lifted and this freedom, because now I had all this time, I had all this energy, and I had all this love to give. And not only to one friend, to anyone and everyone who wants to treat me the way that I treat them. And so once that friendship with her, that tunnel visioned friendship with her ended, I allowed my heart to be open to all the wonderful, beautiful friendships that I have today. So there was a positive ending to that story. I wish her well, and I hope she's happy. I really do. And yeah, I just wish her the best, but I'm so happy with where I am at in my life and with my boyfriend, with my friends. I have so many girlfriends now, whereas when I was friends with her, she was it. There was nobody else. So I'm really grateful that I allowed myself the opportunity to open my heart to other people. And all the people that I have in my life now, all these new girlfriends that I have, are the most genuine, beautiful people who treat me the way that I treat them. And I just see light and positivity in all of them. So I feel very, very blessed and lucky to have these friends. And the next episode that I'm going to do is an episode that kind of ties into this one because it is about friendship as well. But it's about how different friends that you have should all take different levels and different places and different responsibilities in your life. It's a really interesting topic to me, and my friend Justin actually shared his thoughts on this with me. And Mark and I talk about this stuff all the time, and I've spoken about different levels of friendships with like so many people now, so I figured why not just share it with you guys as well, what I mean by different levels of friendship and who should go where and how do you decide all that. So that'll be in my next episode. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of share how my breakup with her was inevitable towards the end of our relationship. And so for you guys, if you feel that you're in a friendship, maybe it's like a 20-year friendship, or maybe even if it's just like a 2-year friendship like me, if you ever feel that something is changing or something is missing or you don't feel right or the person or the relationship is starting to give you anxiety over certain things, pay attention to that and pay attention to your gut, because I started feeling anxious over certain things that I would do or say with fear of her reaction to them. And I found myself people pleasing in that relationship, which I totally, when I was friends with her, like outgrew that. I was no longer a people pleaser, but with her, because she had such a strong personality and I was such a softie, I was kind of like scared for how she would react to certain things that I would say or do. So I would start people pleasing again and doing things and saying things that I didn't really want to be doing or saying. Once I was removed from that friendship, I started looking back and reflecting and being like, whoa, that was a lot. I was people pleasing her. I was just trying to make her happy. I realized that I was being this person that I outgrew in my relationships with men, but I started to be that person again with her, if that makes sense. My people pleasing tendencies, for instance, really started coming out when I was friends with her. And it was just so interesting how I started to feel the way that I had felt in previous relationships, like that conditional love. Like if I don't do this, she's not going to love me. And that's kind of how I felt throughout the last couple months of our relationship. And that's inevitably why it ended. But if you ever feel those gut feelings like you would with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, like in your relationship, and you have those gut feelings and those instincts like, this isn't right, or they're not treating me right, or I'm walking on eggshells, or this is making me uneasy, it's very possible to have those feelings in friendships as well, which is so crazy to think about because I didn't know that until this situation with her happened. And after it happened, I was like, oh, like what I experienced with my exes can also happen with female friendships. So just be aware of that. Like, don't just think that, oh, it's a girlfriend, like it's completely different than an ex-boyfriend. Like, no, the things that we do in relationships, whether it's male, female, boyfriend, or just friend, the way that you are in those relationships can be very similar, and you can start acting in ways that you are not expecting with a friend. This is what happened to me. I was so strong. My standards were so high when it came to male relationships because I had met Mark, and I was finally in my first healthy relationship. But then on the other side of things, I had this friendship that wasn't the best for me. But I didn't really realize it until I went through some things and some pain. So yeah, just be aware of your feelings and your gut and your intuition when you are friends with people. And also people change too. So throughout time, as you're evolving and they're evolving, always kind of check in and see where you're both at. All of those things that you feel and think about when you think about a significant other, it's the same exact principles with a girlfriend. So be aware of that, because I was not until I went through my first breakup, which was really rough, but I made it out, and I am grateful towards her for all the time and the memories that we have shared as well. We were in each other's lives for a reason at the right time, and I am extremely grateful for what we shared, but our time ran out, and that's a-okay. And I also don't think that when a friend leaves your life that you should automatically assume that they'll never be in your life again, because I don't necessarily think that's true. People grow and evolve all the time. So anything can happen. And just like with her, like we're not friends anymore. And I'm not saying that door is closed forever. It's closed for right now, and maybe it'll open again one day. I'm a very forgiving person. I always have been and I always will be. So never say never, but always put yourself first and always know your value and your worth in friendships as well, not just with your significant others. The next episode will be also related to friendship. So I hope you tune in for that one. So if this episode helped you in the way that it helped me, then please tune in for the next one in 2 Tuesdays. And until then, happy healing. Bye. We did it. This is my new spread.